G'day everybody, this is Johnny Seville from Acorn Wealth Corp, and I'm coming at you from on our way from Naples to the Amalfi Coast here. Now, unfortunately, my laptop's battery is useless and only works when it's plugged into a wall. So I'm going to have to give you the executive summary updates by video this morning. I didn't want you to miss out on the update. Looking at the futures market, it does look like the futures are moving up. So as I mentioned in the trading room last night, I'm not convinced we're going to see a straight down move. I am concerned about it because of the nature of the potential inverted fallen angel pattern, but it does look like it's going to fight here. Keep in mind that there is only 6 days left of the open range validity, so the bearish bias means that we could essentially close, we need to close within that range or below it. So we may find that we actually kind of consolidate underneath that bearish open range. So we could see kind of an up and down movement for these next few days. Just to do a quick summary of some of the longs that we did chat about last night that may be of interest to you. We had CWH. Actually, that was one I found on my own. Now, CWH, which is Campers World, was actually a short setup we found a few months ago. And if you have a look at the chart, you'll actually notice that it had quite a big plummet all the way down. But there has been a lot of great insider buying. So there's actually been multiple purchases. We've had big purchases, big percentages, I should say. And what I'd be looking at there is a possible entry there. I'd be looking at a stop signal at 23.93. The first target I'm looking at is 29.83, and the second target I'm looking for is 33.93. Again, possible momentum consolidation and continuation from that zone, but ideally what I'd like to see, if you're looking at the market in the morning here, or in the afternoon if you're over in the Europe side, I'd be looking for a pullback to around the 25-23 level, which is where you'll see the 9-day moving averages. The 5-day exponential moving average from memory is around the 50-cent mark. So even if you see a pullback to that area, because you'll see it is kind of a little bit high off of those moving averages currently. So if it doesn't pull back, you could also look for a breakout with a fresh high above the recent high over the last couple of days. So that's going to happen here in about an hour from now, so look for the volume in the morning. The other one I'm looking at was OPK, which is a healthcare company. You might remember this was one of our long setups recently, just a few weeks ago, and one that's been on the watch list for a while. OPK has great accumulation from the CEO. I went and had a look at when he started buying, and he started really accumulating in 2017. No real action prior to then, so he just started buying 100,000 shares, 100,000 shares, 100,000 shares. I think he's up to 3.9 million shares now that he owns, and that's quite interesting. He is accumulating a good position along this base of consolidation. We saw a pullback yesterday down from a resistance area, so you can see it's kind of building almost like a cup and handle type of formation, and typically with those you try and buy those pullbacks. So as you can see with this one, as we can see with this one, it'd be a possible long here as a pullback to support. Those of you in the Fallen Angels course who were in the introductory lesson know what I was talking about, how one of the few scenarios where we go long a fallen angel that's dropping. This might be one of those scenarios. Again, the risk of buying a momentum stock that's pulling back is it could be changing momentum, so there is a risk of failure. But I'd be looking at a stop signal here of around 3.93. I'd be looking at a momentum setup here with a target one of 6.14 and a second target of 8.37. And with momentum, typically these are areas where you might take a small amount of profit and then just simply update the stop loss behind it. The other one I'm looking at is FNJN. It was one that we discussed in the trading room last night. It's not an insider setup. It's not a smart money setup. It's purely technical. So FNJN is a possible flag formation. If you watch how it's built before this kind of downward channel it's in right now, you saw this kind of sharp, kind of a gap, and then a flag build, and then a downward channel after it. So when you get that kind of a setup, you could get a continuation of at least that downward channel. And the fact that that's coming up to that $4 area, which is the previous double top that you'll see in the chart when you bring that up, FNJN could have a technical move. Now, the thing that's interesting, again, it's a higher risk of failure because it's just a technical setup, but the risk reward here is interesting. Rather than waiting for it to break through the channel, the more aggressive entry, if you want to take advantage of the risk reward ratio, would be, say, looking at it here. So let's have a quick look. So it could possibly rally to about 383. I think from memory it was about $3.10 or something like that at the close yesterday. So if you look at a tight stop loss, say at 293, you've got a pretty damn good risk reward all the way up to 383. So higher risk of failure, but you offset that risk with a better risk reward. So you're saying, well, there's less probability of success, but I have to risk a lot less for a lot bigger reward, and that's kind of the trade-off. You could also wait for it to break above the high of the last two candles to wait for that breakout as well, if you wanted to be a bit more conservative. There's two more, JKS, JK Solar, which was one of our top picks from the Fallen Angels course. So those of you maybe followed that, already up 16-17%. And again, that's why this is of course worth doing. If you had say 10 grand in that stock, which would only take $3,000 of capital, margined, that's $10,000, you would have already been up about $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 in that trade alone from what we picked out on Monday. So it certainly is a course that pays for itself. But anyway, if you're launching that, it still does look good. Obviously the ideal entry points maybe be missed already, but still does look good. I would adjust the stop signal up to 1242, or consider doing that. Again, make your own decision. But the first target I'd be looking for would be 1587. The second target, 1983. Again, no insider buying on that one. And last is one we talked about on our special trading room setup webinar on Tuesday night, and that was Zoe's. Zoe's obviously had some big institutional ownership, which was something that we had talked about together. I think it was up at 99% if I remember correctly. So Zoe's, just to kind of follow through that, it's still early days with Zoe's. It hasn't yet really had that moving average convergence and breakthrough that we would typically like to see, but I'd be looking for a break above 967. The stop signal I'd be considering is 843, and again, big recent insider buying action on this one, as well as a high percentage of institutional ownership. So that's it's got a longer term momentum play potential. Now, as with anything, of course, if you are looking at these trade setups, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any of these securities. Acorn Wealth is not a registered financial advisor in any jurisdiction or province. Trading stocks does involve risk, so please consider the risk of any strategy before taking any kind of action, as Acorn Wealth has not tailored these to the individual needs of any one person. You can lose all of what you invest in the stock market or option plays, so obviously take that under consideration. Now, if you are not a fully fledged member of our alert service, and you'd like to be getting these alerts on a regular basis, make sure you do sign up for one of our trials. You can do that. It's only $9 for a month, and you'll be getting these kind of sometimes videos, sometimes it's the screen rather than me, but you can do that by going to www.acornwealthcorp, that's acornwealthcorp.com/gold. And that's it for today. We're looking forward to seeing how this market opens. Have a wonderful day. Happy trading.